Welcome to the Pinning Combination Podcast. I'm KJ Pilcher alongside Dick Briggs, ready to discuss wrestling at the college and high school level as things approach the postseason for uh, college programs, and the prep season is now officially in the books. Let's just jump right into it from Sunday. Iowa celebrated Senior Day against Wisconsin, and um, Hawkeyes, as J.R. Ogden put it, kind of righted the ship a little bit uh, with a lopsided victory over Chris Bono's Wisconsin Badgers.
Right, and the two Badger wins were highly ranked and still good battles, I guess. At least at 165. So it was a good showing. I agree.
Um, you know, I think some of the wrestlers that some people were looking to kind of be more offensive, put up some points. Real Woods being one of them. He looked kind of closer to his old form. Um, what did you see about some of the guys that were able to put up points this
Well, I
weekend?
mean, if you look at the match scores, like Teskey put 19 points on the board. Woods got the fall. Rachi got put 1-8-1. Franek put 17 points on the board. Uh, Kennedy 19 points on the board. Glazier 13, Hill 11. I mean, so they really amped it up, and that's just what Iowa needed to springboard them into the Oklahoma State meet, I think, and rebound from the two losses.
Interestingly, we saw Gabe Arnold again, this time at 184. Um, I believe he's listed in the probables at 184 with Aiden Riggins. I mean, is this a sign that we could expect Gabe Arnold possibly at 184 for the postseason?
I was thinking that this morning. I think if they wrestle Arnold, and depending on how he does, I that could happen. Even though I think he'll say out loud that he'll go do whatever the coaches want him to do. But I think he would prefer 74. Although Iowa's pretty set at 74, so we'll see what happens there. I'm not, an 8-6 win over Shane Legal is a nice win. Legal's a great wrestler, but that doesn't show me a whole lot yet. So I think Legal's ranked 16th or whatever like that. But, I know Shane Legal pretty well.
Yeah.
So
both Arnold and Keeter listed with in the probables. Keeter and Bradley Hill. I still think that one's going to be, that's another tough decision with, what do you do? What do you do with those freshmen? And I know that's something that Tom Brands mentioned in the press conference yesterday, that they like both of them, and it's a decision that they've got to come to, and I don't think it's really set yet. But if Arnold wrestles against Oklahoma State, I think he's in. Um, and I think heavyweight will come down to maybe the week of deciding who's going to go.
Well, if he wrestles against Oklahoma State, he's wrestling against Platt, who is the number 2 ranked wrestler, at least in Intermat, in a lot of other polls as well. And so if he wrestles at 84, doesn't do well, I don't think that could maybe pull him out of the lineup. I can't help but think that there's two guys that are really talented wrestlers, and do you pull the shirt off, or do you wait and maybe next year they win a national title, and become a potential 4-timers? I hate to say that, but that's something that's probably in their thoughts. I don't know, but if it was me, I'd have to see the results against Oklahoma State at both, for both of them before I made my decision. And right now, I'm leaning towards redshirting them.
Uh, I think this is the most people Iowa has listed in their probable lineup in a long time. You know, it's good that they have that depth. We kind of saw that at the beginning of the year where some parts were kind of interchangeable a little bit. But in the probable lineups, you've got both Shriver and Teskey listed at 33, 49. You've got Rachi and Voinovich, which it'll be interesting because Voinovich will be heading back to uh, Oklahoma State, where he just transferred from. I doubt there'll be a warm welcome if he takes the mat there at 149. Then you've got Riggins and Arnold at 84, Hill and Keeter at heavyweight. So, outside of those, the guys in the middle of the lineup, and then, Ayala and Glazier, we could see quite a few different bodies take the mat on Sunday for Iowa, which is a good thing, but also I don't know if this is maybe one last way to kind of settle things at those weights.
Right, and I think there's more of a question at 33 because it's to me that those guys have performed probably at about equal level. Teskey and Shriver, and I guess I lean a little bit towards Rachi at 49, and then we already talked about 84 in heavyweight.
Yep.
So there's some big questions going on still.
Rachi, I think, has really helped himself by not just how he's competed, but the way he's competed. Not the results, I mean, but the way he's competed. Um, I think he's been offensive. He's been aggressive. Um, and I think I think that's probably kind of helped his cause, obviously, but also that style of wrestling is what's preferred. So I think that's helped his case, really kind of kicking things up a notch.
Okay, so at 33, obviously Oklahoma State is strong, and it's about Fix's 8th year or something like that,
Yeah,
isn't it?
right.
And so I mean, Fix obviously is incredibly good, ranked 2 or 3, and depending on whatever poll you're looking at, and is capable of being a national champ. So do you throw, if Teskey and Shriver are at an equal level, do you put one out there to maybe, I don't know why you would need to protect, I guess, the other one when it comes to a national seed, but that's going to iron itself out for the Iowa wrestlers at Big Ten, I guess. So I don't know. What do you think on that, KG?
You know, I think there have been instances where not that not that they're conceding anything because the person they put out there they expect to win, right? That's
Right.
I don't think there's any coach that does that. But I think there's been a pattern in the past where Tom Brands has gone with a guy that might keep things close or a guy that's stingier, right? In hopes that they can keep things low scoring. And then when, we saw him do that with, I think it was Tyler Clark, like Clark and Ramos. I think there was a couple times where Ramos was the guy, but they went with Clark in a couple matches just because he could lock things down. Um, it might be a little stingier with giving up points, so wouldn't give up bonus or be able to stay in the match. Um, I think we saw that with maybe Voinovich going at 149 against Michigan, against Gomez, somebody that would be a little stingier and not maybe get into flurries and scrambles that could benefit the other wrestler. And we saw that was only what a 5-0 5-0 match, only 5 points scored. Um, so I could see that being the case here. If that was the case, I think that might fit. That might be better suited for Schriever. Um, to just kind of keep things locked down a little bit. Um, but I think right now it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other as far as who goes at 133. But
You
the
bring
way
up
Teskey wrestled Sunday, you know, he's got to be feeling pretty good about where he's at.
right, and you bring up a good point about different styles. You got maybe one wrestler on your team that's a little more defensive, like you said, another one that is a threat for a feet to back pin or cradle catch, or something like that.
Yeah.
That could put 16 points on the board. So yeah, depending on where they're at in the dual meet and whether they might need to have that threat to pin or get bonus points, that might alter their decision or help them decide. So yeah, we'll see.
Oklahoma State, only other undefeated or unbeaten team besides Penn State. The Cowboys are number 2. Obviously, a big boost for them was bringing Coleman Scott in as an assistant coach. Actually listed as the associate head coach, coming in from his role as the head coach at North Carolina. But certainly have seen kind of a boost in the Cowboys this season. A couple matches that really kind of stand out to me. You've mentioned a few, but that 165-pound match, between Olenek and Caliendo. I think that's a big one that could be huge for Caliendo to really kind of get things going back in the right direction after the 2 duels before Wisconsin. Um, then you've got Pagan Jameson, top 10 kid, um, just a redshirt freshman. I think that'll be a good test for Real Woods, and him coming off a nice, more dominant win against Wisconsin. Uh, that could be a nice test, a good match to propel him into the postseason. And then I also look at 197 too. That's Serber is a wrestler that's had some good outings, very beatable by some mid-range wrestlers. But for Glazier, uh, not just a win, but if he posts a pretty dominant performance, that's I think that just is another that could be another example that he's ready to kind of be on that podium verge and what could be a wide open weight class.
Right. So I did look at the matchups today, and I'm going, wow, this is really going to be a fun meet. I see Iowa favored in 4, Oklahoma State favored in 4, and I have 2 toss-ups and really each team that they're favored in they could reverse that decision quite easily. Like you mentioned it at 65. I had Olenek favored there, but just slightly. And then Franek has wrestled Travis, and that's a close match. And you mentioned 97. That's one of my toss-up matches. Serber's rated as high as 11th, and Glazier's as low as 12th. He's 8th, anywhere from 8th to 12th. So I mean that's one. It favors maybe Iowa slightly, but it's a toss-up. So it's going to be a fun meet. And then if Iowa throws Arnold in there, I'd still favor Plott, but that would maybe take away bonus points, or maybe Arnold pulls the upset. So
Sure.
Anyway, so it's going to be fun.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. I think any of those, 125. That's a match that on paper you think favors Ayala, but We've seen what 125 has been like all season long. As far as the unpredictability, that's Spratly's ranked as high as fifth in one of the polls. So, you know, just from top to bottom, all these matches are going to be really tight, I think.
Right. And you mentioned Woods, ranked second or third or whatever, and then Jameson. I mean, Woods keeps things close, so we've seen that. If he doesn't stay on top of the game and keep the pressure on, Jameson could maybe pull an upset there.
Few notes about the duel. This is the 57th all-time meeting between uh, Iowa and Oklahoma State, who have combined for 58 NCAA titles, team titles. Oklahoma State with 34, Iowa with 24. You want to take a guess on what the series record is and who leads it?
Wow, Oklahoma State had such great success early on in this series. So, wow, I would favor Oklahoma State just because of their early success. Those first few decades.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go with maybe a 5-point or 5 meet difference, maybe 5 to 8-point meet difference.
You're very close. Oklahoma State owns a 29-25 advantage in the series. It's 29, 25, and 2 over the 56 meetings. So
see, the 2 ties threw me off right there.
Yeah, that was. But you're right there, 5-4, right within one. Interestingly, this is Iowa's first trip to Gallagher-Iba Arena since 2019. Kind of forgot that 2022 they wrestled at the baseball stadium in Arlington, Texas. So first time in five years Iowa's heading to Gallagher-Iba. So that'll be an interesting experience. I'm sure it'll be pretty heated and electric atmosphere with the Oklahoma State fans.
Well, you and I have both been to Gallagher-Iba. I haven't been there for a duel, been there for a national tournament. So at least I have. Maybe I'm guessing that you haven't. But it's a very fun venue. It holds a big crowd, and those OSU fans, and those Oklahoma State fans will get on the Iowans. That's for sure.
Oh, that's for sure. Any other general comments or anything from the win over Wisconsin, or kind of looking ahead? This is their regular season finale before the Big Tens in Maryland the second weekend in March.
Nope, I'm good. Good discussion here.
Iowa State and UNI, they were idle this last weekend, but they've got big weekends coming up here. Both of them host Missouri this weekend. I believe Missouri is at UNI on Friday, and then at Iowa State on Sunday. UNI also hosts Wisconsin in their regular season finale on Sunday. But Mizzou coming through this 2 really good tests for UNI and Iowa State here with the Tigers coming to town.
Right, and I'm gonna off the top of my head, I think Missouri's ranked maybe 9th in the dual rankings, somewhere in one of the dual rankings, and then I think UNI is around 15th or 16th. So it would favor Missouri. I think Wisconsin is ranked. I don't know if they even are ranked in the duels. So you would think on the UNI side, they're not favored against Missouri and favored against Wisconsin. I think Iowa State's probably favored in both. However, the big matchups at 65, that'll be the match to look for. Carr and O'Toole, right?
Yeah. Right. Yep. That's the huge one that kind of stands out. Maybe heavyweight there with Bastida and
Elam.
Elam to a lesser extent, but yeah, uh, the uh, the Carr O'Toole match, certainly the headliner, and uh, what a way for David Carr to close his career at Hilton Coliseum with this matchup.
Oh, that'd be excellent. And if that meet went down to heavyweight, and I don't know who I'm picking. I like Bastida. He's just been wrestling lights out this year. So, but Elam is of course, so good.
Right.
What a meet. I don't know that it'll come down to that, but if it does, wow, that'd be exciting.
And just kind of looking at some of the matchups here with Iowa State and Missouri, you've got Noah Certain at 125 for Missouri against Kyson Terrakina. That one you figure goes in favor of Missouri, but Terrakina, when he wrestles at his best, he can compete with a lot of different wrestlers. Evan Frost at 33, you would think would be favored for Iowa State. You look at 41 and Enchimandilla versus Edmond, two ranked wrestlers, but Enchimandilla, you think would be favored there as well. When you move into 149, you're really kind of getting into a good spot for Iowa State. With Swiderski back, he's got Joffrey, but they'd be favored there as well. And then you got a real toss up, I think. Brock Mahler and Cody Chittum at 157. They're right next to each other in the rankings, even though Mahler is a lot more experienced and, a little bit of a veteran there. But that's a toss up. And again, O'Toole and Carr, those have been fantastic matchups and have gone both ways. So that'll be interesting. Missouri, you've got Peyton Mako at 174. He should be favorite there. Possibly Feldkamp and Whiting. I think that's a toss up. Also at 197, that favors Missouri probably pretty heavily with Rocky Elam. And then like you said, at heavyweight, you've got Bastida and Zach Elam, a top 5 matchup. So that very well could come down to that final match between two top 5 guys and the second one of the night, assuming that they go lightest to heaviest in the traditional route on Sunday. But you've got two top 5 matchups, and one of them could be closing out the duel between two top 10 teams. So that has all the makings for a fun duel.
Is that can we view that one? Is that something online or whatever?
That is a good question. Let me see if I can look that up. See, maybe FS1. Cyclones TV obviously does a lot of stuff with. You'd be able to find that streaming wise, but um, I'll see if Iowa State has anything listed uh, for TV specifically for Sunday. I think Fox has done some of the Big 12 meets. And it's a whiteout of names, by the way, for those that are going to attend and support the Cyclones. It starts at 2:00. Uh, looks like it'll be on ESPN Plus.
Oh yeah, that's right. Iowa State's on that, and I think Kyvan Gadsden usually calls those meets.
Nice.
He used to. I don't know if he still is or not.
And I know Kyvan did some work at the state tournament, calling some of the finals matches in Des Moines this last weekend as well. So, yeah, that Iowa State Missouri duel will be huge. How do you think UNI matches up with Missouri?
I didn't look that close, but I don't think pretty well or very well. Missouri's awful strong.
Sure, but UNI should be favored in a few. 41. With Cale Happel. We talked about Edmond from Missouri, but Happel should be good there. I think an interesting matchup, is at I think 157, where you've got Ryder Downey and Mahler. That's going to be a big weekend for Mahler, won't it? Downey on Friday and Chinham on Sunday. So he'll get a good test, but I think that that'll be one to kind of keep an eye on. And Downey's had an outstanding redshirt freshman season, so we'll see if he can continue that. That'd be a nice win here as the regular season finishes up. Other than that, uh, you know, I don't think Whiting will have much for Keckeisen at 84. 97, you've got Elam, that's a top 10 guy, and Wyatt Volker. That could be a match that, if he wrestles his best, we get we'll see how he does against one of the top projected All-Americans at 197.
Right. I'm as much as we love Wyatt. It's I don't see him beating Elam. Elam's just so darn good. Both of them actually. So anyway, I just don't see that happening.
And Tyrell Gordon, we'll see if he wrestles. I know he's been kind of in and out of the lineup with some injuries and stuff. That would be a good test for him too, with Zach Elam at heavyweight. But UNI closes things with Wisconsin. Certainly a winnable duel to finish off the season for the Panthers. They're at the McLeod Center. So if you're in Cedar Falls, make sure you head to the McLeod Center. You got a few duels that you can enjoy here this last weekend here of February.
Right. I mean, the competition is at a high level, so that'll be fun for any fan up in the stands for sure.
One thing I want to mention too from last weekend, the NAIA kind of had their conference championships and qualifiers. No surprise that Grandview dominated in the Heart of America athletic conference. They got first place. I believe 212 points total. Aiden Reeves was a champ at 125. You had co-champs in Jackson Cockrell and Carson Taylor at 133. Blake Gonzalez was first at 149. Then you had Dylan Witt winning at 157. Alex Reynolds was the conference champion at 174 for the Vikings. And you had co-champions between Isaiah Llewellyn and Jameel Coles. 197, you had Owen Brongart winning it all. And then Greg Hagan coming away with the title at heavyweight. The conference awards dominated by Grandview as well. Paul Reedy was the assistant coach of the year. Greg Hagan and Owen Brongart shared the outstanding wrestler of the tournament award. Hagan also was named the conference wrestler of the year, and Dylan Witt, the former Cedar Falls prep, I believe, was freshman of the year for the Vikings. So I was the ninth consecutive conference title for the Vikings. So they're certainly loaded and ready for the NAIA championships in a couple weeks. I believe that's in Wichita, Kansas, on the 29th, February 29th through March 2nd, actually. So at the end of next week.
Every year I'm jealous of NAIA because they got their national tournament in
Yeah,
6
right.
days before everything was called off because of COVID. So I'm jealous every year. Other Division III information anyway. Co did wrestle University of Dubuque and won 24-17. They won 6 of the 10 matches. However, they did not have a heavyweight for whatever reason. Co did not, and and then Cornell wrestled Augustana last night. I saw. I didn't look at the box score, but I did see the I think Augustana only won 1 match. So
yeah, it was like 40-3, I believe.
Oh my.
Quite lopsided as far as the final result. Yeah, 40-3 in favor of the Rams.
Right. So then Cole, Loras, Cornell, Luther, they're all off until the regionals, which are, of course, are in Cedar Rapids on the 29th and the 1st. And then I don't know if you check this out or not, but Upper Iowa beat Quincy 48-3 and the University of Indianapolis 29-15. To now that qualified them for a share of the Great Lakes Valley Conference, and that's their first year in that conference. And they're sharing it.
Did you ask if I caught that?
Yeah. Yeah, if they caught that they shared the title.
Yeah, it led off my wrestling weekend that was on the front page of the paper.
I forgot about that.
I kind of caught it.
So I even read it. I'm sorry. Okay, my fault. But anyway, they shared that with McKendree and Maryville, which is pretty cool in their debut season. So all finished 5-1 in that conference. This is interesting. So I had to look at the Great Lakes Valley. I had no idea about that conference. So I had to look and see. There's 14 teams in that conference. 8 of them are in Missouri. 4 of them are in Illinois. 3 of them are in Southern Illinois. And and then 1 is in Indiana. And then there's Upper Iowa. So and really only Lewis University, whom I've never heard of, is anywhere close to a Great Lake. So
that's funny.
I just had to kind of look at that. Their super regional is on March 2nd. It's a 1-day tournament in Minot, North Dakota. Yay! That's fun.
So they'll reunite with those Northern Sun teams that they've competed against for so long. What I thought was funny was that according to Upper Iowa, the Great Lakes Valley Conference was going to result in less uh, travel and shorter mileage, less mileage than what they traveled with the Northern Sun Intercollegiate Conference. And I was trying to figure out how that was possible with a team in Indiana and then Southern Illinois and Missouri for the most part. But I would think the Northern Sun was a lot more geographically convenient for them. But
right? Most of the Northern Sun is in, as I recall, it was in Minnesota. A little, there's one that's way out in western North Dakota, I think. Um, oh gosh, I forgot what the school is, but
it's not Mary. That's not Mary, is it? Mary.
no, no, it's northern. It's north or northern, whatever. Anyway,
Oh, Northern State. Is that all
northern
the
state,
way out?
northern state. Yeah, there you go. And
Okay.
Kyle, the Warburg wrestled against them, so that's the only reason I know them. They're actually getting more competitive too. But so it'd be nice to go up and get reunited and maybe show them a thing or two. That Upper Iowa's ready to go.
Yep. I think this might be one of their best teams from top to bottom. Um, Most balanced teams. Uh, I think for sure. Um, so I really look forward to seeing what they can do. Now they believe their national tournament is down in Tulsa, so uh, hopefully they have a good qualifier next weekend and send a pretty good contingent down to Tulsa, Oklahoma for the national tournament there.
Right. We'll talk
Um,
about that as it approaches.
right. And this weekend, uh, big weekend for women's wrestling with the regional qualifiers. Simpson uh, will host the qualifier uh, there. Of course, the University of Iowa will um, be competing there as well. Iowa had an unbeaten dual season. They went 16-0 in dual competition. Wrestled extremely well um, in tournaments throughout the year. Um, just kind of looking at what it looks like for them. I was hoping they had a list of the actual competitors that'll be competing with
I,
their notes, but they don't.
I haven't seen that, but I did see the rankings, the top rankings. I think Iowa has three girls that are ranked number one, and I think North Central might have four, if I remember right. So it's really,
I
to me, those two teams will certainly be in the hunt when it comes nationals time.
Right. Uh, Emily Gonzalez is ranked number one for Iowa, 101 pounds. Um, and then you have Marilyn Deedy, the national champ, transfer from Augsburg. She's number one at 155 pounds. Um, and then Kylie Welker,
Walker,
uh, ranked number one at 170, who's even wrestled overseas here during the season as well. Now, the interesting thing is, uh, I can't remember from a year ago if it's an open kind of uh, situation, but Iowa has like multiple people ranked at some weights, like 101. In addition to Gonzalez, Sterling Diaz is number two. 116, you've got Brianna Gonzalez, who's number three, and Felicity Taylor, who's number four at 116. At 143, you've got Reese Laramendi, that's ranked second. Ella Schmidt's ranked fourth for Iowa. Bella Meir is ranked ninth, in addition to Didi being top ranked at 155. We mentioned Kylie Welker and Haley Ward is ranked third at 170. And then they also have two wrestlers ranked at 191. So uh, it'll be interesting to see how all that plays out. I believe the top 4 at regionals all advance.
Now, I don't remember there being multiple entrants or qualifiers from the same school at the national tournament last year. That could have been, but I don't recall that.
Well, one thing you know, can they have it in the region? Is it like NAIA?
Yeah,
But I don't know. Region 5 tournament will be at Simpson, starts at 10 a.m. on Friday. And like I mentioned, the top 4 wrestlers will qualify for the national tournament at Alliant Energy Powerhouse in Cedar Rapids. So, yeah, just I'll see if I can look up uh, the field here really quick and see what the entries are like for that. You know, NAIA seems to be the only one where multiple entrants are allowed.
right. And
Even then, it's only a few weights where I think you're limited to maybe 14 entrants or something like that. I think, but
I think it's 12.
12. Okay.
Yeah, I believe it. So, the 10 weights, and then you can do 2 additional entrants, but you can actually have 3 in a weight class and then 0 at a weight class, I believe. But, yeah, so you can do 12.
Yep. Okay. So Iowa has 15 wrestlers listed as going or in the field.
Okay.
McKendree has 14, Quincy, Illinois, Lindenwood have 13. Simpson also has 14. Wartburg has 12. So uh, 1, 2, 3, 4. So if 15 Iowa has 15 entrants, that probably includes all 15 ranked wrestlers. The brackets aren't out yet. But with that being said, Eureka has 11 as well. Buena Vista has 4. William Jewell has 7. So there must be the ability to include multiple wrestlers in a weight class.
So are you looking on track?
Yes.
So if it's also possible that they have multiple wrestlers listed, and then they'll make their decision as to how, if only 10 are allowed, or 14.
That could be.
So that could be a possibility as well. Or maybe there's slots at weights and they're filling them in. Who knows?
Sure.
So.
There's only 9 teams. Only 9 teams in the field there at the Region 5 tournament. So we mentioned them: Buena Vista, Eureka, Iowa, Lindenwood, McKendree, Quincy, Simpson, Wartburg, William Jewell. So there's your field at Simpson on Friday.
Well, I think that's great if they have multiple ranked wrestlers like we just shared, that those lower ranked wrestlers get in and compete. Got the number 1 ranked and the number 9 ranked. Give number 9 a chance to compete. I like that. At least early on in the women's process here.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. We could be way off too, and they do just make a decision on who's going to represent them there next this Friday. So, all right. Well, this seems like a good time. Is there anything that you want to tee off about?
That's interesting because it's a good segue or whatever, a bridge to this, because today I'm taking a look at both sides of the coin, and that is where are the Division I Power 5 women's wrestling programs? And so I don't know if you caught the article in the Gazette with John Steve. Is it Steve? Yeah, John Steve. That in the U.S., the high school girls' participation jumped from 16,562 in the 17-18 season to 50,016 in the 22-23 season. That's a 202% increase. And in 17-18, only 3 states had 600 girls that participated or more that participated in wrestling. By 2023 season, 23 states had 600 or more. To me, these numbers deserve to have a D1 route to compete. Right now, there's none. I mean, 4, right? The NCAA is to add women's wrestling as a championship sport in 2026. That's projected to happen. So I say, come on, ADs and presidents, step up and do what's right. Let's start some more programs. Now, the flip side of that is, will adding women's wrestling programs provide a means for schools to drop men's wrestling programs? Man, I hope that's not the case. But let's look at Lindenwood University. We just talked about them. Both the women and the guy side. They're in the middle of transitioning from Division II to Division I, and I believe they'll participate in their first and last, if they get a qualifier, D1 tournament in March. Lindenwood has a huge history in wrestling in the men's side. Between NAIA and Division II, they've had 5 championship teams, 3 runner-up teams, and 2 third-place teams at those 2 different levels. And they're in the process of dropping 10 sports, including men's wrestling, but they're not dropping women's wrestling. And then also, will NAIA money eliminate Olympic sports from the NCAA landscape? I fear that wrestling and other Olympic non-revenue sports will disappear or drop to club level. Will the transfer portal make a mid-major athletic programs become developmental programs for like big and powerful and rich D1 programs? Like for instance, if someone needs a 157 pounder or a quarterback or a postman, can they entice them with money to leave the UNIs and the smaller schools? If that's the case, what happens to those programs? I'm fearful of them, saddened of what potentially could happen to college athletics and maybe even eventually high school athletics. That's it.
I just want to circle back to one of the things we were just talking about with the women's regional. Last year, teams did have multiple entries in at the regionals. So just looking at some of them, they were able to have multiple entries at the same weight class. So I think that answers our previous question there. So.
So I don't recall too many of them. It probably happened, but I just wasn't paying attention at the.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Yeah.
So we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah.
Well, let's transition to the high school level here. Finished up the Iowa High School Athletic Association state championships in Des Moines. The 4-day event, was pretty exciting. It goes without saying. Its unpredictable nature was certainly on display again. Some upsets, some high level performances. Just a real fun week. Congratulations to team champions. Southeast Polk in 3A, Osage in 2A, and Don Bosco in 1A. Dominant performance there for Southeast Polk. I'm looking here to see if I think they might have set the team scoring record in 3A. They were just absolutely dominant, which comes to no surprise, right?
Right. They had 5 finalists, 3 champs, of course, 2 runner-ups, a third, a fourth, 2 fifths, and a sixth. 221.5 points to Bettendorf's second place, Bettendorf's 160 points. That's why I thought that they might have broken the record. I would be surprised if it wasn't. Third place, by the way, Bettendorf had 1 first, 2 seconds, and 3 thirds. Fort Dodge was third. They had 3 champs and a third. And then Ankeny Centennial, they give, I don't remember, do they give 3 or 4 trophies?
3.
3, okay, so those are the 3 trophy winners in 3A.
So I'm just trying to find here, see where the scoring totals are here in the actually I think they just came up just short. Waverly Shell Rock had 225 points in 2008.
So
and it was what 221 for Southeast.
So 3.5 points short.
So just short, yeah, but a heck of a would have been probably second all time. Ballard has the 2A record with 220, and then Don Bosco at 194 was the previous record there for 1A. They set that in 2009. So just missed out on the 3A record, and certainly would be a record in any other class for Southeast Polk. But boy, they were dominant this weekend. Don Bosco, Alburnett gave them a run for their money. I mean, that'd be a 152. That'd be a winning total a few times over. But Don Bosco, even Clayton Rush said, they just have so many guns, so many weapons. It's kind of hard to keep up with, and I think that kind of showed. Them winning by 31 points despite an exceptional tournament from Alburnett. And then Wilton scores 140 some, and they're in third.
Right, so 144. So Don Bosco had 7 in the top 4. They had 3 champs, and they had their seniors. They had 3 seniors, a third, a fourth, and a first, a champ, and then they have 4 freshmen, a champ, second, third, and eighth. So Coach Ortner is going to be very strong for a while up there. As
yes.
The Don Bosco program is always strong.
Yep. And let's see, that is I believe their 6th. I believe their 6th straight state title.
That's
1920 from 19 to 25. So the last 1A champ that wasn't from Gilbertville was Lisbon in 2018. So and just to kind of put this in perspective, Alburnett had 152 points. So kind of going back here, that would have been enough. It actually blew out their winning total when they won team titles in 2013. They scored 138. When they won in 2015, they scored 130. When they won in 2016, they scored 119 and a half. So they blew that total out of the water. and it was only good for a runner-up finish. So they're nothing for Alburnett to hang their heads about, even though you could tell they weren't really interested in moral victories there. They still talked about how they wanted to win it. But tremendous showing. We got a state title out of Rowdy Neighbor at 120. He was impressive all tournament long. Interestingly, he beats Akron Westfield's Cale Morrow in the finals, and Morrow beat him by major decision in the 113 championship match last year. So, what a way to turn that around for Rowdy Neighbor.
Yeah, for sure. And Rowdy had such a great season. Good family, good kid, and other place winners for Alburnett. They had 8 of them. So,
yeah, quite a few for the Pirates. I think 8 total made the podium for them. They qualified 11. Allie DeWitt was 4th at 106. Tayton Kufal was 6th at 126. You had Cooper Franklin that was 7th at 132. Preston Klosterman was 4th at 138. And then you had Reese Klosterman, who was 3rd at 150, came in as the number 12 seed for the Pirates. Shaden Washburn was also 3rd at 157. And then you had Emmett Fleshman getting 5th at 215 for Alburnett. One of the, and we'll just stick with 1A here, really impressed with Jessup. That was a team that's kind of, in uncharted territory as a program. It's one that we haven't really seen up close, in that top 5, top 10 for a long time. They made their state dual debut and got 5th. I think that was pretty good. And they turned around and followed up with a 4th place finish in Class 1A, 89 points, and 4th behind Wilton. Aiden Bergman, Cooper Hintz, they finished 3rd and 5th respectively at 106 and 113. Interestingly, they switched weights from a year ago, and both won their 2nd straight medal. Jessup, they both come back, so they're part of that group that Jessup's building on. Dawson Bell was 6th at 138. Then you had Wyatt Vanderwerf, 7th at 157, and Kyle Bucknell, 3rd at 175. So Jessup returns quite a bit from really a banner season for their program. And talking to Matt Gross a little bit, this is something that they want to make the expectation instead of the aspiration year in and year out. And I think they've got a good group that they're building on there for Jessup as well.
Yeah, it's kind of neat to see those programs build like Jessup and Anamosa really kind of come to mind, that are ascending. Yep. Obviously, Mount Vernon's been pretty good for a few years, but they had a stellar year as well this year. So that's really cool.
Just a couple other Class 1A things to mention. At 106, Liam Edelfinger came in as the number 10 seed. Ended up coming from behind and winning in the finals against Hayden Schwab, 9-8. Big win there, and he just kept knocking off higher seeds all the way through the tournament, and then came through big time there in the 3rd period in the 106 final to give Wilton a chance. Gavin Landers, an 11 seed. We talked about that last week about how that was really not indicative of where he was at, and he proved it. Just an outstanding performance all week, dominant. Beat Mason Shirk, top ranked or top seeded from Wilton, 12-0 in the finals. But we kind of knew that was something that could be in the cards there for Landers.
Right.
Go ahead.
3 of the first 4 weights you've mentioned, 6 and 13, and then at 126 you had the number 4 seed wrestling against I don't even know what seed in Morris from Cascade. So
the number 10.
Number 10.
Yep.
And so then those first 4 weights, 3 of those first 4 weights, you've got some really low seeds that came through and shined. That's kind of neat. And then it was pretty much to seed for most of the rest of the weights until heavyweight. Then a 6 seed slipped in, but
yeah.
But those first 6, 13, and 26. Wow.
Yeah. One more champ of note, Keaton Muller of Starmont, won the 150-pound title. He went 46-1 this season, became Starmont's first champ. Actually was their first finalist since 2003 when Johnny Waltz made the finals, and then became the first Starmont champion since 1989. When Kent Stryker won the final of 3 championships for Starmont. So 35 years there. A 35-year drought ended by Keaton Muller at 150 for Starmont, and then another. Even though he wasn't able to come out on top, made it to the finals, lost to Mason Knipp, I believe a 2-time champ for Columbus, who ended up his senior year 38-0. But Logan Wright, a heck of a tournament for West Branch's Logan Wright. Runner-up finish at heavyweight, had a big win over Cody Fox in overtime in the semifinals. He was another one that I think he was 6th, and then beat the number 3, number 2 seeds to get finals, where Knipp won 5-2, but still a nice showing for Logan Wright. And Cody Fox of East Buck finished 4th, and in doing so, he became East Buchanan's first 4-time state medalist. And that's saying a lot because he did it all at heavyweight. That's something that's not easy for freshmen to come in against more mature and physically stronger heavyweights normally. So a heck of an accomplishment there for Cody Fox, who will now transition to football and get ready to join the University of Iowa here in the next year.
Right. I got a chance to ref Muller at the Christensen Invitational in Anamosa, and then Wright at double duel down at West Branch. And boy, they really impressive wrestlers there. And Muller really caught my eye. I was not surprised. He's just a sophomore, but that kid's a solid, put together kid. So,
and he was 3rd last year. So right. I mean, this is not out of the blue either. Yeah. So a lot to still build on there with him. So here's how the seeds broke down in 1A. Out of the champions, 8 were number 1 seeds. So 8 out of 14 number 1 seeds won it. 3 were number 2 seeds. So 11 out of the 14 champs were either seeded 1st or 2nd. Then you had a 4 seed, which was West at 126. And again, that one was, I don't think the seed was indicative because I had him predicted to win it. And then Edelfinger was the big one, the number 10 seed that won it. And again, Landers being the 11 seed, that I think that's an anomaly. Shouldn't have been seeded that low, but what are you gonna do? Formulas.
Right.
But that's how the seeds kind of broke down. And out of those non-number 1 seeds that won it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 other number 1 seeds made the finals. So you're looking at 13 out of 14 number one seeds. The only one was at 126 with Kufal from Auburnet. So, and of course, West, they faced off in the semifinals against each other because of the seeding. So, take that for what it's worth. 2A, you mentioned Mount Vernon. They earned their second team trophy in 2 years. The first time they've gone back to back with team trophies in the program. So kind of very good accomplishment there for the Mustangs. They had two finalists, Clayton Perot at 106, and then Jace Jaspers makes his second appearance in the finals. He was a runner-up at 138, but Clayton Perot finished off a heck of a season, 46-0, and beat Fairfield's Cale McCabe 7-1 in the finals to give Mount Vernon a state championship, individual state championship.
Outstanding job, and those kids and coaching staff at Mount Vernon worked very hard, so very deserving there. I guess let's mention this: four timers in 2A, four timer, potential four timer, I should say. Right, it was at 126. Am I right there?
Yep, Jace Hedeman from Union.
In that scramble, if I'm remembering, what a scramble and sudden victory.
Mm-hmm.
That was going one way, going the other way, and ended up not going his way. So, if I'm remembering that right.
Yep, and Carson Doolittle from Webster City, 43-0. Of course, a lot of people, at least wrestling fans, should recognize the Doolittle name. Very accomplished family at Webster City. I was talking to somebody last night about the finals match, and they have Webster City ties, and I'm like, it's a surprise, and it's not a surprise. It's a surprise that I think everybody expected Hedeman to win, but it's not a surprise knowing that if there was somebody that had an opportunity to come out on top other than Hedeman, it was Doolittle.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, very much so. Yeah.
Quality wrestler is somebody that, if there's somebody that you're gonna put your money on to come out on top that wasn't Hedeman, it would have been him.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was kind of a theme, right?
Oh boy.
We saw that a couple people actually a trio of people in 3A that still were on track to possibly be four timers get knocked off, and Hedeman was another one that Doolittle kind of spoiled that run.
Right. I mean, and then just to finish up in 2A, to what you were mentioning in 1A, I think 12 number ones made the finals, and the exception would be Gast at 165 from Osage, who I had an injury. He was battling injury all year, and
yes,
yep. And Weber at 120, but did not make it as well. So the number ones fared pretty well.
Yeah, 120 and 2A was that big bracket buster, right?
Yeah.
That was the one where none of the top seeds made it. Your final matchup was a number 8 versus a number 7 with Gage Spurgeon of Eddyville, Blakesburg, Fremont beating Ryan Bonson from West Lyons 6-0 in the finals. And here's one thing. I'm not even sure why I'm kind of bringing it up, but there's a wrestler for Eddyville, Blakesburg, and Co. that I used to love watching compete, and it's Dimitri Boyer.
Oh yeah.
And Dimitri Boyer is on the coaching staff at Eddyville, Blakesburg, Fremont. And boy, I tell you what, if there's somebody that could have a huge influence on the wrestlers coming through there, I think it's him. And I think Gage Spurgeon is somebody that uh, I just have a feeling probably is thriving with maybe learning from Dimitri Boyer. He's a freshman, won the state title at 120. Um, I really think that's somebody that could have a huge impact on kids coming through that program there. And uh, I was kind of glad to see one of their guys coming through with a big title and kind of did it in that bracket buster. As we mentioned, you had the number 8 and number 7 uh, facing off against each other in the finals. So,
and then at 165, you had the number 5, Hendricks from Humboldt, and then against Young from Butte Waller, who is, we talked about that last week. Is it way low 7th seed? He ends up winning it and is the champ, and undefeated champ. And so again, that's one of those head scratchers on the seeding, but he proved that he is a undefeated champ. So.
Yep. No, for sure. And then kind of interesting too at 150. We mentioned Hedeman from Union. Union did have 2 champs. They ended up getting 3rd, and they had I believe 4, if not all 5 of their qualifiers placed. But Caleb Olson. Reason why I mentioned that, Caleb Olson, the number 3 seed, wins at 150. Last year, Union sent 3 guys down, right? Hedeman, Brayton Bonesack, and Olson. And last year, Hedeman and Bonesack both won titles. Bonesack repeated at 113 this year as well. Olson was the only one that didn't make the finals last year out of their team. He finished 7th, but it was kind of interesting to hear him talk about how he was the only one watching on Saturday night, and he had his goal, to be alongside them in wrestling. And here he teams with Bonesack to bring back individual titles for Union after being kind of the odd man out last year for the night. So good performance from him, and glad he got that title. You mentioned Anamosa earlier. They forged their way into the top 10. Austin Scranton completes a perfect season, 49-0 for the Blue Raiders. He beat Heston Johnson 6-4 in the finals, following a really exciting 8-6 win over Brent Yankovic of West Delaware in the semis. Scranton has handed Yankovic his only 3 losses of the season. Yankovic comes back and gets 3rd. Scranton also sets a school record for wins in a season with 49, beating his record of last year of 48. So good for him, and he becomes the first Anamosa state champ since Mosafe in 2004.
Right, and according to Brett Jones, athletic director at Anamosa, that's Anamosa's top finish ever.
Is it really?
So yeah, so real nice, and obviously he had the Scranton family. I think his brother was 3rd, wasn't it?
Yes, Hudson. Hudson was 3rd.
I think they went 8-1 on the weekend.
150.
They went 8-1 on the weekend. That's pretty darn good.
And I tell you what, Hudson Scranton and Mikey Ryan, they had 2. They faced each other twice. Scranton ended up winning both of them, but Hudson Scranton and Mikey Ryan from Mount Vernon had 2 of the most entertaining matches of the entire tournament. One was finished in overtime. One went down 6-5 in the 3rd place match that went down to the final seconds before it was settled. And I tell you what, those were some fun matches to watch, and both Scrantons, Aiden Antonelli, as well. I believe Anamosa brings back 4 or 5 of its qualifiers. They all but 2 come back. I think one of the Wheelers come back. Antonelli, both Scrantons. So that's going to be a team for people to keep an eye on in Class 2A next season as well.
Yeah, I mean that's neat to see that program just climb higher and higher. Good for them.
And Scranton has a chance to match Mosa Fay with a second title. Mosa, a 2-time champ for the Blue Raiders. Scranton got his first one, and now has a chance to match that. And the only 2 state champs in program history. So pretty cool for that one. We mentioned some of the upsets in Class 3A, and actually there are at least 3 wrestlers that were still on track for to be 4-timers. One of them, Max Magana of Waterloo East. He won 3 titles for Waterloo Columbus, transferred to East, and he got upset in the semifinals to kid from Carlisle, Hempstead of Carlisle. Then you had was it Carter Freeman losing to Coy Davidson at 138, which prevented him from winning a 4th. And then at 113, this was still like in the infancy of going for 4, but Alexander Pierce, a freshman last year that won it at 106, this year makes it to the finals and gets upset by Norwalk's Tyler Harper in the finals. So Davidson had beaten Freeman earlier in the year, so that's not a huge surprise there. Pierce, Harper finishes season unbeaten. Maybe that's not a surprise, but Magana falling in the semis and at 175. That I think that one was the big shocker.
Yeah, I didn't see that one coming, and I saw the end of the match and the Carlisle. I couldn't help but I'm sitting there, kind of watching the crowd in the background and the coaches in the background and jumping up and down and clapping, and I'm going, if I'm in the arena, my feelings, where am I at on that? Am I excited for the Carlisle wrestler that's winning it, or am I saddened for the Waterloo East wrestler that's losing his opportunity to be a 4-timer now? And so I'm like, what would I be doing if I was sitting in that arena? Would I be applauding, or would I just be sitting, kind of doing nothing? Or so it's kind of crazy. People sometimes cheer for that, just to see the record, the string broken. Others are saddened, I think. So that's where I was.
A lot of people like an underdog, right? I mean, probably nothing personal, but you just like seeing an underdog, perform or achieve something maybe they weren't expected to do. At least I would hope it'd be that way instead of being glad someone failed. You know what I mean? And maybe I'm just being too soft on stuff like that, but you would hope it'd be more of kind of, oh wow, he did it, instead of ha ha ha, you didn't do it, kind of.
Yeah, I think
right.
Yeah, I think you're right, and I hope you are. And it didn't look like the people in the crowd were going raucously or whatever. That the
right.
coaches, of course, were jumping up and down excited, and why not? You beat.
Oh yeah, oh they should. God, I'd be a little concerned if they didn't. When you got something like that, just like when Aiden Newton won in the finals, that was to stop Allard from winning 4. It was one of those things where Oh man, you feel for the kid that got beat, but wow, Aiden Newton just carved his name into Iowa high school wrestling finals lore, right? So,
I
uh,
guess I guess the lesson is don't ever, there's never a lock.
right,
There's,
right.
no one's ever, even though there's a pretty solid looking 215 pounder that's
Hmm.
won a second this year in 3A that almost looks like a lock, but
Yep.
you just never know. I mean,
Well, I even look at Ben Keeter last year, right? Uh, I don't think there's anybody in the world that thought he would get beat. But even as a competitor, you saw after he won in the finals against JoJo Lewis from Hempstead, there when he was on his knees and there's a sense of relief, right? Where the competitors know it's not a thing until it's complete, right?
I
So especially at state wrestling. Gosh, how many times have we seen what's supposed to happen doesn't happen? And we saw it multiple times this tournament.
I
And I think the phrase I was using was the only predictable thing about the state wrestling tournament is its unpredictability.
well, I would say this, as as much as that's unpredictable, your picks were spot on, and you did such a
Yeah,
good job. So really, I mean, that just shows, the knowledge and expertise you have, even with the upsets that were going on. So you did well. Nice job.
yeah. Thanks. There's something to be said for luck, I suppose there, but um, just a few local champs here in Class 3A. Cale Seaton wins his second state title for Iowa City High. He beats Jace Luna 3-2 in the finals at 132, avenging his only loss of the season that happened in the district final um, the week before. So Cale Seaton becomes a two-time champ, finishes 34-1. First City High. He'll be heading to South Dakota State um, to continue his career for Coach Damian Hahn, assistant coach Cody Caldwell as well up there. He was one of two City High champs. Killed Voinovich, the number 5 seed, at 157. He comes through and wins the title. He beat Carlisle's Jackson Miller 12-3 in the finals. He finishes 41-1. Of course, Voinovich, the brother of Victor Voinovich III, the University of Iowa. Voinovich moved to Iowa City. Um, Victor Voinovich transferred from Oklahoma State to the University of Iowa. Kale wrestled in Oklahoma last year. I believe he was a state finalist at Oklahoma last year, runner up, now a state champion. I believe he even started his high school career, he said, in Ohio before going to Oklahoma. So uh, found a home at City High and won pretty handily. Was pretty dominant throughout the tournament there. Um, and then at 144, Linmar's King Notgaborn, he completes a perfect season, going 37-0, beats Jakari Clark of West Des Moines Valley 9-2. Notgaborn had 2 pins, a major decision, and then a point away from a major. His only uh, decision against an Iowa opponent this season.
Yeah, I mean, impressive. Noctiborn just all season with all the pins and really early first period, lots of first period pins throughout the season. I did want to back up to City High and just mention, there's times when you're a coach in any medal, but like an 8th place medal can mean just as much sometimes as a championship medal to me, because I know what it took for that athlete to do that. And I wanted to mention Jake Mitchell because I think he's been undersized all season. He's probably helping the team, Seaton's at 32 and Kurtz is at 38. Cale Kurtz is at
Sure.
38. And so, I think it looks to me like Jake has bumped up 1 or 2 weights to help. It still takes that home an 8th place medal. So I wanted to mention that. I thought that was pretty cool.
And I want to mention this about Jake Mitchell too, that maybe a lot of people don't really understand um, about him as an overall athlete. He was somebody that in the fall was a member of the state qualifying golf team and was a starter and a key contributor on defense for the City High football team. And of course, he was part of the City High football team that I believe made the semifinals a season or two ago. Um, he's also been a part of a state qualifying baseball team. Of course, his dad, Brian, uh, baseball coach at City High, and was an outstanding athlete, baseball player at City High and the University of Iowa. Uh, of course, everybody knows his maternal side, being Dave Gable's grandson and stuff as well. But Jake Mitchell has been an all around athlete. So this 8th place medal is just another little notch on an outstanding uh, athletic career as a prep athlete, where he's done it in 4 or 5 sports, and it's pretty impressive.
Right. And that's that. For him, the mountain it took for him to climb to get that 8th place medal is, it's equally as impressive as any other medal. Now, on the other side, on the Linmar side, I felt bad for Grant Kress, and I was really looking forward to that match that never really happened, or
Right.
only the first minute or so of it happened with Voinovich and Kress. Kress was number 1 seed, Voinovich number 5 seed. First of all, Voinovich should have been on the other side, a 2 or 3 seed for sure, but that's what it was. And then Kress gets dinged up and obviously concussion, went into concussion protocol, and they ended up, as I recall, I wasn't there to watch, but saw that he or heard that he went out in a neck brace and on a stretcher. Is that right?
I don't.
But I did see him.
I don't recall.
I did see him sit up though, and then so he's all right in that respect from what I saw. So anyway, that one felt bad for Grant. He's such a good kid too. So I would have liked to have seen that match in its entirety. So then I guess Linmar, I don't know if you mentioned, Griffin Schultz was 4th at 215, Malik DeBow 5th at 120, and then Nate Fish 8th at 126. And I better not forget Kendall Kurtz from City High was 8th at 113. The Kurtz brothers brought home medals.
Right. Just kind of going over some of the other medalists from our Metro and Iowa City area teams. Colin Falk from Cedar Rapids Kennedy made the award stand as well at 165. I believe he finished 8th as well. Ronan Thomas and Jean Nagoa, Cedar Rapids Xavier, they both finished 7th. Kind of interesting. I believe Nagoma wrestled behind Thomas last year at 170 pounds, now at 215. So both of them come away with medals as well. Cedar Rapids Prairie, they had a few medalists. Dylan Munson was 6th at 106. Tyler Lee was 7th at 132. Alex Bumba 5th at 144. And then Wyatt Vlasic 7th at 157. I also believe Vlasic was honored as a student athlete during the tournament as well. So congratulations to him. for that. Always love seeing athletes perform well on the mat in the classroom. Clear Creek Amana, they've had uh, such a boost here lately. One of their best seasons. They had a couple medalists. Kale Nash was seventh at 120. Nolan Howe, seventh at 138 as well uh, for the Clippers. They're a team that certainly have some guys to build around.
Right. Then Liberty. I think Liberty had one fifth place medal in Vinny Lima at 215.
Correct. And did you see Rob Gray's story on Vinny Lima? I think it was maybe from the quarterfinals. His youth coach was Alan Freed, and Alan Freed made an appearance in Des Moines, driving all the way to Des Moines from Montana or somewhere in the Northwest to come and watch him compete in his final state tournament. And he made the semifinals, lost to Deshaun Ross, who, let's face it, a lot of people do. Lost the Concy semi, but battled back and beat Andrew Price of West Des Moines Valley 6-3 for fifth. So nice way for him to finish, and kind of neat that a lot of people will recognize the name Alan Freed, a former Oklahoma State wrestler, who came to Des Moines to watch Lima wrestle.
That's cool. Freed was a beast, man. Jeez.
Yeah, he really was.
Okay, I have a just a quick little stats here. So
sure.
Of the 42 matches, finals matches, am I doing that right? 14 in each of the three weight classes.
Yep, 42.
So how many pins did we have in the finals off the top of your head? Don't look.
Off the top of my head. See, Ross had a pin.
42 is, yeah.
4.
Stop at Ross. One pin.
Really? That was the only one?
That was the only one.
Okay.
You're right, though. And then how many technical falls? 0, which, not many of those happen. Only 6 majors. So you had
Really?
only 5 bonus points in all of those 42 matches.
Wow.
So then you had 4 matches that went into sudden victory. And then 9 matches were 1-point decisions, not counting those 4 sudden victory ones. And then 10 matches were 2-point decisions. So we had some very close and exciting finals. I thought that was interesting.
Very, very much so. What's that tell you? Well, is there something to be deciphered from that as far as the competition or the parity, especially when we see a handful of guys that were still on track to win 4 titles and get beat? Does that say something about the competition level,
Right.
to go along with those close finals?
Right. And I think I asked you, and you said there were 5 that were on track for 4 timers that got beat at one point or another. And to go along with the stats that I just read, I think I don't know that I would call it parity. What's the definition of parity? I think it's just the high quality is not here anymore. This small group, it's a larger group. I guess that makes parity, right? But it doesnn't mean the quality is down. I think the quality is as high as it's ever been, or certainly is, I don't know years when you've had this sort of thing happen. It's right. It's the quality of wrestling in the state right now is high, very, very high.
I would agree with that. I
think, I hate to say this, but because there's some things about clubs that I don't always think are the best for wrestling necessarily, but I think that all the clubs that are around have helped develop that. They just, there's so many people And these kids probably haven't wrestled. It's not the first time they've ever wrestled coming up through their youth and such.
Right, right. Right. Uh, any other parting thoughts
No,
or anything like that? Just kind of looking at we kind of mentioned yeah, the the programs we kind of mentioned Jessup and Anamosa improving. Predictions not a big not a big predictions fan just because you never know what's going to happen, right? I mean, especially when you're dealing with high school kids and stuff, it's almost impossible to pinpoint what's going to happen. But did get all three of the top three teams in order in all three classes, so went 9 for 9 there. And then 27 out of 42 champs. I think that's like a 64%. Um, you know, that's a solid C, maybe a little bit better. But the thing that I thought was a little impressive. Uh, 36 out of the 42 predicted champions were in the finals. So uh, nine wrestlers were a win away from winning titles that we had predicted. So right there for a handful of others, but not bad, not bad. I'll take it.
that's why you're the best.
One thing I do want to mention quickly, for the first time, the Gazette is coming up with an all area team for boys and girls. Riley uh, Riley Cole, who spearheaded our girls coverage this year, she's going to have the all area girls team for wrestling. We've done that for football. We've done it for basketball for a couple of years. Now we're going to do it for, we've done it for volleyball as well. We're going to do that for wrestling this year. And I have the boys. I'm just going to throw this out there because I'm having a very, very tough time deciphering some things. Uh, we'll do a wrestler of the year, and I have it whittled down to 5 candidates or 5 finalists, I guess you could say. We do 5 finalists for our athlete of the year at the end of the year, so I figured uh, we'll mention 5 finalists. Um, those just according to weight class. I'll just list them according to weight class. This is no ranking whatsoever, but uh, Clayton Perot, who won at 106 pounds in Class 2A for Mount Vernon, he's a finalist. Rowdy Neighbor, junior from Alburnett, who won the 120-pound title in Class 1A. Then you've got Cale Seaton at 132 for City High, who won his second title in Class 3A. Then you've got King Nakaborn, who we mentioned, finished his perfect season 37-0, won the 144-pound title in Class 3A for Linmar. And then Austin Scranton, who went 49-0 for Anamosa, and won the 175-pound Class 2A title. We'll also have a coach of the year, then one representative from each weight class. And obviously, as finalists, those 5 will be on that list as well. So just getting it out there. You guys can see that. That'll be posted online this weekend, and it'll run in Sunday's paper, Sunday's edition of the Gazette. So keep an eye out for that. And I also like to direct a lot of eyes towards our state wrestling coverage. We kind of going through, not including all the preview stuff. We had 3 stories and a 3 stars of the day that we compiled each day. So we had like 16 stories throughout the 4-day event. That doesn't include the follows, like the feature on King Nakaborn in Monday's paper. So 17 to 18 stories, articles of content from the state wrestling tournament over a 4 or 5 day stretch. That just, you know, I'm just very proud of the way the Gazette has always covered prep sports and including prep wrestling. So I hope you all take a chance. If you haven't seen it yet, go to thegazette.com and still look that up and give those stories a read, because it's a lot of great content on some athletes from all over Eastern Iowa that it was our privilege to cover and shine a light on this last weekend.
And I was going to say, before you even brought that up, the amount of coverage and line space, I don't know what you call it, in the print has been incredible this year. It's really unprecedented. I'm sorry. It's I mean, it's so good. And man, if it was me, I encourage you to subscribe to the Gazette, because these writers, just work so hard, and it's really incredible. Nice job.
It's fun, and you contributed to that too with our podcasting too. So you're part of that. You're part of that machine that we try to do our best for the athletes that are out there. That's what it's for. So really appreciate all you do and your contributions and your insight. As a wrestler, as a coach, as a parent, even, and a referee. Geez, you were like a lot of hats, right? So really appreciate that, Coach Briggs, as well, and all that you do for the sport in a lot of various roles.
And I'll even throw in a fan. I just love watching these kids and excel and enjoy the sport, and it's a blast. So thank you for including me.
So that's awesome. It's awesome. So our last prep episode of the season. We still have a lot of college left to do. The postseason coming up here in the next 3 or 4 weeks to go over. Still a strong month of college wrestling to cover. And with that being said, Coach Briggs, why don't you take us out on our friend's tagline?
Let's keep wrestling on the move.